Okay, listen, if you've been asking yourself, can I get jacked in my 40s or my 50s? This video is going to be for you. But before we dive into the video, there's a couple of things I want you to keep in mind. First, this advice is geared to folks in their 40s, 50s, or even 60s who started or had an extended hiatus and is now coming back to strength training relatively recently, say within the last 5 or 10 years or so. If you began training in your late 30s and 40s or even later, this is going to be for you. However, if you've been lifting consistently since your 20s, like me, you might find it harder to gain new muscle mass in your 40s, but the information in this video will help you maintain or maybe even add small gains, but definitely it's going to help you extend your lifting journey out for years and years. This video is going to offer 10 tips mainly for those who are newer to the game or, like I said earlier, have taken a significant break. So let's tackle the big question. How should training for muscle look in your 40s and up compared to younger folks, especially if you're starting or coming back later in life? Okay, so let's talk about the first one. I cannot stress this enough. If you're looking down the barrel of 40, 50, or 60, warm-ups is going to be essential. I would definitely recommend warming up properly. Start with something like 3 sets, light to moderate weight before you even start your first lift. And then actually do 1 or 2 warm-up sets before each subsequent lift. I would want you to focus on technique, range of motion, take it slow, especially if you have nagging body parts like shoulders and knees like I do. If you're in your 20s or 30s, sure, you can get away with a half-ass warm-up. But as we mature, there's no room for injuries. Okay, so the next one, I want you guys to work on controlling the lowering phase of your lifts. Controlling the weight has 2 benefits. The first, it increases the time under tension, which is a stimulus for muscle growth, just in case you didn't know that. And the second, it reduces the risk of injury because you don't have to fight against so much force. Think about it. Dropping that bar in your chest just to bounce it back up creates a lot of force and resistance. You could build plenty of muscle without all that risk. Okay, so moving on to number 3, and pretty much number 2 and number 3 can go together. As we control the weight on the way down, we want to pause at the bottom and control on the way up. And let me tell you why. That pause at the bottom of your lift can deepen the muscle stretch, promoting muscle growth and improving flexibility. This is going to be especially beneficial if you're struggling with flexibility issues. So a pause also reduces the likelihood of injury by controlling the movement transition. As we age, we need to maintain that flexibility and mobility in our workouts to avoid getting hurt. And honestly, if you're like me, I don't have that much time to train during the day between work and life and shit. So embracing that pause is like getting 2 workouts in one. Okay, moving on to number 4, I want you to choose your rep ranges wisely. Think about it like this. Have you ever walked into the gym ready to lift some serious weight, let's say squats, and your knees were like, the hell you are? I would listen to your knees. Remember, different rep ranges can be effective for muscle growth. It doesn't have to be lower rep ranges all the time. Lower rep ranges generally involve higher forces and puts you at a greater risk of injury. Again, avoiding injury is the name of the game at this age. So what can you do? I would prioritize 10 to 20 reps as your main rep range. Higher rep ranges can absolutely help you build muscle. But if you choose to lift heavy and ignore your knees, make sure you're smart about it and revisit number 1 and number 2 in this video. All right, number 5, start slow. Anybody ever come up to you and say, hey, it's a marathon, not a race? And you look at them like, yeah, whatever. Well, let me tell you why they're right. You can grow muscle in a range of frequencies and volumes. So if you can grow muscle doing 3 sets of bench and you can grow muscle at 5 sets of bench, why would you risk injury at 5 sets of bench when you can get returns at 3? It's basic math. Well, not so basic, more like, anyway, I would start with low volumes of frequencies and build up from there. Train each muscle group about once or twice a week and start with just 1 or 2 sets per session. Gradually increase the volume only if your body can handle it without excess soreness or fatigue. Okay, so moving on to number 6. When increasing the weights or reps, do so gradually, no more than 5 pounds or maybe 1 or 2 repetitions at a time. Why? Well, why not? Listen, as I explained earlier, if you increase the stimulus to grow muscle too fast, will you grow? Yes. But you'll also 2 to 3 times the chance of fatigue and stress on the body. Those kinds of returns are not worth it when you're older. This method minimizes the injury risk while still providing sufficient stimulus for growth. And over time, these small increments can lead to significant gains. Trust me. Okay, so talking about number 7, you're not going to want to hear this, but you definitely need to plan a deload about every 4 to 6 weeks. And deload doesn't mean what it think it does. It doesn't mean stop going to the gym. It can mean reduce the intensity or the frequency. As we get older, you have a hard time losing that fatigue that you accumulated. Trust me, you're not going to lose all your gains. In fact, you're probably going to come back feeling great, and you may even see faster growth. So even if you don't feel like it, you need to deload. It's going to help you lower the accumulated fatigue, reduce the risk of injury, and help your joints recover. So if you want your knees to stop yelling at you, then take a deload. Well, if you didn't like what I said about number 7, then you're definitely not going to like what I'm going to say about number 8. Every 5 or 6 months, I want you to go ahead and significantly reduce the training volume and intensity. In fact, I would even recommend you take about 10 days off with absolutely no training. And I know what you're saying. I'm going to lose some of my gains. And I'm going to say, oh, you're probably right. So, why in the world am I telling you this? As you age, you have to reduce that fatigue, that joint stress, and that inflammation that's built up in the body. This rest period is definitely going to help you recover, reducing wear and tear, and setting you up for another productive training cycle. I'll put Monopoly money down and bet the boardwalk that you'll gain everything back probably within the first 3 to 4 weeks and feel great to last another 5 to 6 months in the gym. Then you know what? You rinse and repeat. Number 9, I want you to choose your exercises wisely. Listen, when I was in my 20s, I would back squat, do a heavy set of chest, and then go for a 3-mile run. Screw that at this age. Select exercises with a good stimulus to fatigue ratio. That means choosing lists that provide a strong muscle building effect without overtaxing your joints and causing systemic fatigue. Number 10, be careful, be careful, be careful about the weight gain. I used to eat entire whole chickens in my 20s and my 30s to try to gain weight. If you're already lean and looking to gain muscle, do it cautiously. Aim for about half a pound a week over a 4 to 6 week period. Then consider cutting back to maintain that healthy body fat percentage. This approach is going to help you avoid unnecessary stress in the body and keeps your gains sustainable. Remember what I said earlier in the video. This is a marathon, not a race. At this point, you no longer want to be just jacked. You want to be jacked and healthy for as long as you possibly can, and you can't do that by throwing 315 on your back off the jump. So there you have it, folks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.